ESPN's Holiday Hoops, presented by Kay Jewelers.
Welcome to Madison, Wisconsin, where today we've got a battle of two top 10 teams. The undefeated and second-ranked Pittsburgh Panthers come to town, led by their 7-footer Aaron Gray. While the 7th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers have their conference's leading scorer in Orlando Tucker. It's a clash between the Big East and the Big Ten, with everyone in a festive holiday mood, and it's coming up next. And welcome to the Kohl Center here on the campus of the University of Wisconsin. It's Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers, and it sure feels like the holidays right here. Everybody's in a great mood, anticipating an outstanding matchup here today. Unbeaten number 2 Pittsburgh, number 7 Wisconsin. Dan Schulman, Dick Vitale with you. This is a big-time non-conference game.
Well, you know, a really special thing about it. We got 2 potential candidates for National Player of the Year. Orlando Tucker when you talk Wisconsin, Aaron Gray when you talk Pittsburgh. We got Pittsburgh right now 44-0 in the months of November and December under the tenure of Jamie Dixon. We have Bo Ryan 80-5. Right now we got Pittsburgh 10 in a row over Big Ten clubs. Whatever you want, we have, baby. It's going to be special.
Something's got to give here today, and as Dick mentioned, 2 legitimate Player of the Year candidates. Aaron Gray has turned himself into one of the best players in the country over his 4 years in Pittsburgh. Orlando Tucker is a 5th-year senior and might wind up as Wisconsin's all-time leading scorer by the time it is all said and done. And one thing that separates these teams from a lot of the elite teams in the country, Dick, is their experience. Look how many seniors, 3 aside, are in the starting lineups.
Well, that's why they're having outstanding success. When you have that familiarity, and they both do it defensively, both very physical, and both very aggressive.
Well, there was some concern that maybe Aaron Gray might not be able to play in this game. He's been under the weather the last couple of weeks. Let's get the details on that from Doris Burke.
Dan, what started as cold and flu-like symptoms early this week was diagnosed as strep throat on Thursday morning. Now he's been on oral steroids and antibiotics since that point. So we are approaching the point at which that medication starts to have an effect. The concern was dehydration. Obviously, Tony Salisi, their trainer, has been all over that. He did practice yesterday. They came here last night. He was part of the walkthrough. He feels better today, guys. How it impacts him, we'll see as this game plays out.
He looked pretty good in the warm-up. Watching him warm up out there, he's very active. I talked to Kendall about him, and he said, hey, he looked good in practice yesterday.
And you saw those 2 stats. Pittsburgh 44-0 in November, December under Jamie Dixon, and Wisconsin 80-5 here at the Kohl Center under Bo Ryan. They played on New Year's Eve in Pittsburgh last year. The Panthers won by 9. Mike Cook, the transfer out of East Carolina, misses the jumper, and the rebound brought down by Brian Bush.
Mike Cook's been really a very solid player coming out of East Carolina. He's doing him some scoring on the wing. Well, a tough assignment trying to guard Tucker today.
Wisconsin returns 90% of their scoring, 87% of their minutes from a year ago. Pittsburgh, 8 of their top 10 are back. These are 2 talented, experienced teams.
What Wisconsin does really well, as you look at Bo Ryan, defensively, they don't foul, Dan. They don't put people on the foul line. In fact, they have fouled 100 times less than their opponents.
Which is why they've made more free throws than their opponents have even attempted. That foul was on Levance Fields, who's inherited the real quarterback job, the starting point guard with Carl Krauser, finishing up last year. There's Orlando Tucker, averaging better than 20 per game.
He's an inside-outside player, very effective in a low post, can step out, has improved his range as a player, and certainly going to be a leading candidate to be Player of the Year in the Big Ten.
He's starting to get some publicity that's been a long time in coming for him. Levon Kendall, a 5th-year senior for Pittsburgh, misses the 3, and back come the Badgers.
He's one of those blenders Andy Katz talked about in his column. But Kendall's got to be a little bit more assertive offensively.
Jamie Dixon says Kendall's the MVP on this team, given all the little things that he does, even though Gray is the guy who's piling up the points and the rebounds.
He sets screens. He passes the ball exceptionally well.
Butch right over his defender with a left hand. 4-0 Badgers.
They're all about execution. When you talk about Wisconsin, it's being efficient with the ball, executing, and then playing great team defense.
Aaron Gray being defended by Jason Chappell, and Pitt turns it back over. Chappell's one of 3 big bodies who will defend Aaron Gray today.
Jamie Dixon certainly has a 9-man rotation. He can rotate 9 players. He calls them 9 starters. I was teasing him before the game. I said 44-0. You don't want to be known as Mr. December. You want to be known as Mr. March.
How about Pittsburgh ranked second? Who's ahead of them? UCLA. The coach there, of course, the former Pittsburgh coach, and Jamie Dixon's best friend, Orlando Tucker knocks down a 3.
He's a star that has not received the national stage and publicity he deserves.
Your co-player of the week on your website. Andy Katz had him as player of the week on ESPN.com. It's noisy here. Wisconsin's off to a great start. Graves has that shot altered and never got to the rim, and back come the Badgers again.
Pittsburgh better lock it up. This club is fired up.
Tucker fouled on his way to the hoop.
You mentioned Tucker coming off that big game he had against Marquette. He had 28. As a look at Tucker showing his post-up ability. Maybe he's spinning the lane, great hands. Now he showed his range as a shooter. I mean, he shows his ability. That's the one area he's improved in.
Yep. At the line, a 66% free throw shooter, a guy who missed a year, a medical redshirt 3 years ago with a foot injury. Broke his nose in a game last year, had to have surgery for that after the season. This is a guy who's been through a lot to get where he is.
Well, he had to breathe through his mouth last year, was not comfortable. He said this year he feels very comfortable.
Kendall, nice pass underneath, and finally Pittsburgh scores, grades the bucket.
That's what Kendall does well. He can find open people. He's got great size. He's had that one masterful performance against the USA, and he beat them, scored 40.
Yeah, Kendall is from Canada, scored 40 against Team USA the summer before last. Now Cameron Taylor misses the 3. Brian Butch is fouled as he got a hand on the offensive rebound.
You know, big players are a little bit slow sometimes adjusting to the collegiate level. Brian Butch came with a big reputation, and it's been a little while, but he's getting better and better, and certainly an important player on that baseline.
A consistent guy for Wisconsin, 9-10 points, 5-6 rebounds per game, and that foul, Dick, was the second on Levance Fields. He's going to have to come out, but they don't lose a lot because this guy, Ronald Ramon, can handle the ball, and he might be their best shooter.
Well, they got Benjamin on the bench as well. But you talk about Fields, what he does exceptionally well, he protects the ball. He has an assist-to-turnover ratio of better than 3.5 to 1.
Anybody who knows the Panthers knows that this early deficit is not going to scare them. This is a tough, experienced team, as we mentioned. They're not going away because of the atmosphere of the deficit as Gray is fouled from behind.
They were slow starting against Buffalo on the road recently and had to come from behind. They were down 10 with 12 minutes on the clock. Showed a lot of character and a lot of guts. Jamie's done a phenomenal job taking over for Ben Holland.
The foul's on Butch, his first. He'll get a nice ovation as he goes to the bench. And Marcus Landry, a 6'7" sophomore out of Milwaukee, who was terrific off the bench in the win over Marquette last week. And he'll check in for the Badgers. They also comfortably go about 9 deep.
He had like 11 points, but he also blocked about 3 shots. His brother's doing a super job at Purdue, one of the real surprise teams, and I think one of the sleeper teams in the Big Ten.
Knocked away from Gray. Pittsburgh turns it over again. That was Carl Landry you saw, a Big Ten Player of the Year candidate. Might battle Marcus's teammate Tucker for that honor. And look at Tucker at 6'6". He is a load inside, and Pittsburgh's going to have to find somebody to defend him. Cook at 6'4" might be a little bit too small.
Cook is now really a strong defensive player. He's more of an offensive player. A key player today could be Sam Young, who's physical, explosive. They're going to have to do a better job at getting Tucker away from the low box.
That foul was on Kendall coming over to help his first. Now Greg Steensma is going to come in to take over for Jason Chappell, and Steensma's assignment will be defending Aaron Gray.
Chappell's a guy that moves his feet exceptionally well. His dad was Len Chappell, 1962, played with Billy Packer when Wake Forest went to the Final Four.
Tucker misses them both.
That's the area he's got to really improve on. Wilson's going to go to the line quite a bit.
10-2 lead for Wisconsin. Not only did Pittsburgh beat them last year, as Joe Krabenhoff checks in for the Badgers, Pittsburgh also beat him in the NCAA tournament in 2004. Keep an eye on Krabenhoff, number 45 for Wisconsin, a sophomore out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and a tough-as-nails, ferocious rebounder who gets under the skin of his opponents.
Yeah, he's a very physical, aggressive player.
Graves with a strong drive to the baseline and count it.
Great quick move by Graves. Explodes on the baseline. No one rotated over to give any help. Take a look right here. He just goes to the baseline. And usually Wisconsin has help coming over to close the angle off.
First foul on Michael Flowers. He'll sit down. Jason Bohannon takes his place. And as we said, Wisconsin's as comfortable going deep as Pittsburgh is. Graves is the third leading scorer on Pitt, a senior out of Mansfield, Ohio, averaging about 10 per game.
I don't think there's any doubt that these two clubs are going to be major factors come March. You talked about their depth, their experience, and they got a winner's mentality.
Yep. Don't expect this game in the 80s. It might wind up in the 50s. Both of these teams very physical, and defense is the #1 priority for both coaches.
Well, that's why they win. Defense is a strong suit, just like Ben Howland and the job he's doing at UCLA. It's their defensive effort that's keeping them unblemished.
Wisconsin with only one starter in the game right now. Landry's turnaround won't go, and Gray brings down the rebound. Gray averaging a double-double this year as he did last year.
They want to pick up that dribble. They want to get some looks for Ramon. He can flat out shoot the three.
Cook a good score from the wing as well. Jamie Dixon hollering out instructions.
See, they play that man-to-man, but it has like really zone tendencies. They do a lot of switching, communicate really well.
Kendall with the open jumper.
He's got to be more assertive. He's a good shooter. He's a little bit passive on the offensive side.
Averaging 6 points, 6.5 rebounds per game. Steam's mother turnaround over Gray. Doesn't go, and another rebound for the big guy, who his first 2 years, Gray Dick, played behind Chris Taft, weighed about 40 pounds more than he does right now. But his last 2 years have been sensational as Ramon bangs down a three, and it's a 7-0 run for Pittsburgh.
And that's what he does exceptionally well. He can really shoot the three. He gives him a special dimension. Look at Bo Ryan, for years operated at University of Wisconsin, Platteville, won 4 national titles for the Big Three.
Got a good one going here in Madison. It's a beautiful Madison, Wisconsin, unseasonably warm for a mid-December day. And really warm inside here. They've been talking about this game for a long time here at the Kohl Center, where for the 4th year in a row, every single ticket for every single Wisconsin men's basketball game sold out before the season even started.
Well, the Grateful Red, they're really fired up. I call them Bo's Brigade. He's brought so much excitement here in the world of basketball, certainly in football. 11-1 going out to Orlando. I was there yesterday with my grandkids, Disney World. Had a phenomenal time. You got to go on a ride called Soaring. Oh, Soaring.
Did you meet Mickey?
Oh, I met Mickey, Minnie, met Donald Duck, met Goofy.
Well, I'm going to leave that line alone. They looked at that during the break to see if Ronald Ramon's shot was a 2 or a 3, and they have decided it is a 3. So Pittsburgh, which was down 7-0 and 10-2, is back within 1 at 10-9. And you can see Bo Ryan's upset, and he's saying foot on the line. Foot on the line. He is saying that that last shot by Ramon should have been a 2, not a 3.
One problem. The referee's decision counts.
That's right. Landry looking for Chappell, who's checked back in the middle. Now for Wisconsin. On the floor for Pittsburgh, Tyrell Biggs, a 6'8 sophomore out of Nanuet, New York. And again, both of these teams are going 9 deep. That foul was on Sam Young, who's also checked in his first. And you talked about Young, and he could be pivotal as they try to slow down Orlando Tucker today.
Well, he's been battling on knee problems, but he's an explosive athlete, great jumping ability. Do you know Jamie Dixon was drafted in 1987 by the Wizards? Same year Billy Donovan was drafted, Steve Alford. All those former coaches.
Wisconsin has
coaches.
Former players, terrific players, and even better coaches. Wisconsin hasn't had a field goal in about 3.5 minutes. Chappell from the baseline changes that.
That's how his dad used to shoot it. You don't remember his dad? I did. His dad was a special player down at Wake Forest. He's got good footwork. He moves his feet exceptionally well. Chappell defensively.
They've got 3 or 4 guys they can play in the post, so they never really get in foul trouble. And one of Bo Ryan's philosophies is not to foul. Dick talked about how rarely they foul and how often they themselves get to the free throw line.
You know, Rob Schultz wrote about it in the paper yesterday here. 100 less times than their opponents.
Ramon, the pull-up from the elbow. He is smooth.
He's very smooth. Doesn't have great quickness, but he's got terrific touch to the ball. Shoots it exceptionally well. Good follow-through.
His dad, Dick, was a professional player in Brazil, and in the summer, he put Ramon and some of the other Panthers through drills. Through boot camp, and worked them as hard as they've ever been worked in their lives.
Yeah, they thought they were going to take it easy this summer.
Here's Krabenhoff. No-look bounce pass out to Chappell. Wide left on the shot. Ramon the rebound.
Wisconsin does a great job utilizing the post. whether it be for a score or whether go inside, outside.
Keith Benjamin into the game for the first time now for Pittsburgh. Aaron Gray is not in the game right now for Pitt. Remember, he is under the weather. He did start. He played the first 4 minutes, but he's battling strep throat and flu-like symptoms.
But Pittsburgh's a very deep team, and they're not going to make alibis or excuses on the condition of Gray.
Biggs, tough shot. His momentum was fading away from the basket, but he knocks it down, and the Panthers, with Gray supporting him from the bench, have their first lead of the game.
Well, when you bring guys like certainly Biggs and Young off the bench, they're really like starters. In fact, Jamie says we got 9 starters.
Tucker, this is the 15-footer. Chappell over Kendall for the rebound. Tucker again.
Terrific move without the ball. Tucker, and a great look by Chappell as he went right down the gut of the defense.
A big start for Orlando Tucker. He had 28 a week ago in the win over Marquette.
My friends, you want to talk about winning and developing a winner's mentality? Right here you're seeing it. Both these clubs really understand shot selection, and they understand how to play defensively.
Benjamin feeds Biggs on the wing. He misses the long jumper. Here comes Cameron Taylor, another senior.
He's only got 4 fouls called on him. Played about 30 minutes a game.
Yeah. Good outside shooter. Nice
pass.
feed into Chappell.
Always in the right place. Do you notice a guy occupying the low box? And that's created off the passing ability up on top by Cameron Taylor.
You're going to see a clinic in team play from both of these teams here today. Two very unselfish teams.
Great point, Dan. That's why they're so successful. So many teams understand about winning, but they just don't do the little thing.
Boy, Ramon is hot early. A 3 to tie the game, and he's got 8 points already.
That's that shooting touch we talked about early. Scouting report on him, great range as a shooter.
48% from beyond the arc on the season. A starter last year, coming off the bench this season. Taylor alone.
Always making that one extra pass.
Yep. You know, this is the first time in the history of Wisconsin basketball in the regular season that there's been a top 10 matchup. Number 7 to Wisconsin, number 2 Pittsburgh. We've got a timeout on the floor, and that's good news for Orlando Tucker. He lost a shoe on his way back down the court. Ronald Ramon is hot early. Pittsburgh shooting 64%. He's got a couple of threes, and we're tied at 60.
Orlando Tucker, University of Wisconsin Badgers. My nickname is Doe. I always wanted to stand out and be different from the crowd. I love music. Away from the court, I love to watch cartoons. Growing up, my mom taught me that, always be a leader and never be a follower.
Orlando Tucker is a star at Wisconsin, molded by his upbringing, guys. He says of his neighborhood in Joliet, there were people getting killed all around us, and we were right in the middle of it. His mom, Lisa, had his brother Antonio when she was just 14. Orlando, when she was 19. He says, my mom always told me, never be a follower, be a leader. This guy wants to build community centers in low-income neighborhoods. We had a chance to talk to him yesterday, Dan. What a delightful young man. This is a family that stuck together through tough times, and it has paid dividends for them.
I'll tell you one thing, when you talk about him, you talk about a leader. They said he was a leader out in Italy as well.
That's right.
They said he was terrific. They went on a tour. They were 5-0. Came out of Joliet, and then Lockport.
Wanted to soak up every moment that he could in Italy, and his teammates will follow his lead. And every coach knows when your best player is your best leader and your hardest working player as well, you've got something special.
Well, the leading scorer in the history of Wisconsin is Michael Finley with 2,100 points, and he has a chance to really surpass him. Actually, it's 2,147 for Finley.
Tucker right now is 5th on the Wisconsin list. Should get into 4th, may get into 3rd by the end of this game here today.
A lot of patience on offense. It's all about patience, poise. They're so poised. They played in a tough environment against Marquette. They're able to survive that.
Tucker driving baseline. And we'll see who gets the foul between Gray and Young. They were both in on it. And it is Sam Young picking up the foul, but that is his 2nd.
I remember talking to Bob Wolfley over in Milwaukee about the fact, the writer, about how strong the programs are here in the state of Wisconsin. You think about this program and the one that Tom Crean has developed, and it's a great rivalry.
Yep.
Got Marquette, Wisconsin. That's why I say Washington should play Gonzaga.
Exactly right.
They should never end that rivalry.
And what else is nice is that as of next year, Wisconsin and Marquette also, everybody's going to be playing Wisconsin and Milwaukee, Wisconsin and Green Bay. All the state schools play each other. There's Tucker climbing that list. on Wisconsin's all-time scoring list.
Well, Rob Jeter's the coach of the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. For 10 years, he sat next to Bo Ryan, and he played for Bo Ryan. And he's having a struggle this year because they lost 5 starters from their team last season.
Tucker with 10 of Wisconsin's 18. Gray open for the jumper. Little strong off the glass, and back come the Badgers.
Gray shooting 64% from the field. Pittsburgh better than 51% as a team. See, they lull you to sleep. They control tempo. We talk so often about the vital part of a game is tempo.
Butch for 3. Kept alive by Chappell and a fresh 35 for the Badgers. Trayvon Hughes with an ill-advised shot, the freshman out of Queens, New York. Now Cook is fouled by Chappell, and a bad shot at one end set up a transition opportunity at the other.
Yeah, but Cook should have taken it right to the goal. He tried to pose a little one-hander, should have exploded right to the basket.
Hey, Dick, another big one coming after us as Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers continues here on ESPN. And Bob and I, 2 wins away from tying Dean Smith's all-time record. Texas Tech is at Arkansas right after this game here today, but it's not going to be easy for the Red Raiders down in Fayetteville.
Oh, that'll be a tough game. You talk about Mr. Knight. To me, he's the chairman of the board. I mean, he is the chairman of the board, like Francis Albert Sinatra was to the music industry. That's what he is to the college basketball fraternity. And I love the song Mr. Sinatra had, My Way, and that song epitomizes Robert Montgomery Knight.
He does it his way, that's for sure. After this game at Arkansas, they go into finals, and they don't have another game until a week from today when they host Bucknell. Wisconsin, Dick, has yet to turn the ball over 10.5 minutes into this game. And
well, that's one of their strong suits. Protect the basketball, play high percentage offense, take good shots, let the right people shoot the ball.
They actually had trouble with that, and there, of course, is their first turnover. They had trouble. They turned it over 22 times against Marquette, yet won the game. Baseline jumper goes down for Mike Cook. He's a scorer. A 2-year starter at East Carolina, sat out as a transfer last year.
Well, they changed coaches. Bill Harrion lost the job, and he decided to move on. Was averaging about 15 a game. He's a Marco Polo guy.
Out of Philadelphia, this ball will stay with Wisconsin.
You know, you look at the Big Ten, everybody's basically talking Ohio State. They better not concede it because this guy's going to have a lot to say about it. And watch Purdue. Matt Painter quietly is doing a heck of a job. Landry and Teager back.
They've gotten some big wins already this year, and I think they host Butler today. Butler's gotten a lot of attention for its wins this year, and that would be a good win for Purdue. And Purdue's already beaten some pretty good competition this season. This is Hughes, a good defender, quick and strong, getting about 10 minutes per game off the bench. Shot clock at 5. Now the deep pull-up. Oh, he was thinking about it. Steensma turned his back, and then the pass went awry. Cook at the other end.
Well, Wisconsin does really well. They take a team that wants to get in transition, and they lull you to sleep. And they really control tempo and make you play 5 against 5.
Yep. Both of these teams like to grind it out. Tucker from way outside, and he's got 13 already.
I'll tell you, you talk about National Player of the Year. Who's having a better year thus far? He goes to Marquette, he puts 28 on the board in a big game. Here's a big game against the number 2 team in the nation. He comes out fired up.
Kendall, a great pass inside. Gray using the left hand.
That's why Kendall loves Mr. Gray, and Mr. Gray loves Mr. Kendall. They share. In fact, he's a businessman. He's got his own house.
Kendall's the landlord, and Gray's one of the tenants in a house in Pittsburgh. Kendall comes up with a rebound, rips it away from Brian Butch.
And there's all the little things we talk about that leads to winning.
Antonio Graves takes a bump. Crowd did not like that call here in Madison.
You mentioned the fact when you talked about Kendall owning that house when he was a freshman, he borrowed some money from his family. As you're going to watch Tucker show his range, that's the area he's improved on, his trifecta. And then Gray does what he does well, down in the post. Gray lives in that house that he owns, Kendall.
To Pittsburgh, number 7 to Wisconsin, a 1-point game as we bring in Doris Burke.
Orlando Tucker has been affected by basketball in many ways. You talked about the team trip to Italy. He's obviously getting a great education here at Wisconsin, but it may literally have saved his life. When he was a child, there was a gang war literally occurring right outside his door. One of the gang members jumped through this young man's front window in an attempt to avoid the bullets. That's his mom, Lisa Tucker. he literally, as he was scrambling to get underneath the bed, heard someone say, "Don't shoot. That's where the little hooper lives, guys." So he has overcome extraordinary circumstances.
It's amazing, Doris, that some of these young people, what they have to go through in their lifetime. I read one of the most dramatic, I'll tell you, it's going to be a movie, the story of Dwayne Wade in Sports Illustrated. It was done so well by Mr. Price. What a story about his life and what he had to face. And today, I'll tell you one thing, I've learned after reading that story to even admire him more for what he achieved. And you can say the same thing about Tucker, as what Doris has pointed out.
As Doris mentioned, Tucker wants to give back to his community. He's a communications major, on pace to graduate this year as Butch knocks down the jumper. Every point that Wisconsin has in this game is from their 3 front court starters, Tucker, Butch, and Chappell.
They're getting the ball very easily to their key people on that baseline.
Gray with a jump hook, his second field goal.
They got to get him involved a little bit more offensively, shooting 64%. You know, the motto to follow up on a Tucker story to any youngster out there, even though you're facing tough times, there will be people out there that will lend you a helping hand, but you have to have the desire and the unbelievable dream of wanting to make it.
Butch looking for his offense a little more than usual today. Misses the jumper, but Tucker comes up with a rebound, and he's got 15.
I tell you, Tucker's having one of those major days. You talk about National Player of the Year. You talk Tucker, you talk Gray, you talk Big Baby Davis. You got to speak about Facekas at Nevada, and certainly I would throw in Durant from Texas.
Gray takes a bump. Play continues, and it will be Wisconsin basketball, and the Pittsburgh bench is livid over the lack of a foul call.
Look at Jamie. His dad was in the house today. He's a fighter on that sideline. Played at TCU.
John Higgins trying to settle down Jamie Dixon, who does not get that demonstrative that often. 4th year as head coach at Pittsburgh and has had a remarkable run. Tucker's had a remarkable run here today. 17.
They have no answer for Tucker. They have no matchup to play him one-on-one. I think we're going to see Pittsburgh ultimately play some zone in this game like they did against Buffalo.
Helped them get back in that game. They survived in Buffalo last weekend.
Oh, you got to call that. You got to call that foul there. He got hit. And there he is right now. Watch Tucker. He's always in the right place. Rouser from last year, you thought that would really hurt, but they're really deep on that perimeter. They can rotate 4 bodies out there that can all play.
Krauser, I believe, is playing in Germany right now. How about Brian Butch?
As he elevated his game, as I said, came in as a McDonald's High School All-American. Had a little tough time at home. His mom went through a battle against cancer. She's doing really well now.
A travel called on Graves.
Look at Jamie Dixon. He really is enthusiastic on that sideline. Take a look at Butch now. A little one-on-one maneuver. Protects the ball. Good pivot. Using that pivot foot properly.
He has stepped up and become a solid, steady contributor for Wisconsin. Not a star, but he gives them solid minutes every game. Dick, he's feeling it today.
He can shoot the 3 down. My buddy Dan Schumann all over it. He can shoot it. Oh, what a great afternoon here in Madison. A beautiful college town. You got the Grateful Red going wild.
Gray is fouled by Chappell.
Got all those alumni. I know a lot of people that graduated from this school. Our former boss, Steve Bornstein, Rudy Bartsky, his wife. There's Butch stepping out, shooting that 3. Nice arc. Hey, Dan, I spoke before the game to 2 of the writers that cover Pittsburgh, Ray Fittipaldo and Kevin Gorman. They have some great writers out there in Pittsburgh, and they were telling me that this is the most ambitious schedule that Pittsburgh's had in a while in terms of their non-conference schedule.
Well, they played at Auburn. They won that. They played at Buffalo, and it might not sound like a lot.
Oh, you got to win those games, though.
But a lot of high majors won't go on the road.
I know, but you got to win those games.
I understand. And they never used to go on the road, but at Auburn, at Buffalo, now here.
Wait. Auburn and Buffalo.
No, you wait.
Those are wins. Those are wins. You got to win. If you're top 10 in the country, you got to beat those clubs. You're not playing Auburn in football. You're playing them in basketball.
Now, this is the second and a home with Wisconsin. They'll play Oklahoma State in Oklahoma City on the 21st, ESPN 2, 7 Eastern. And as you said, this is a more ambitious schedule than they played 3, 4, 5 years ago.
And I agree with you. That's a tough game when you talk Oklahoma State. Sean Sutton's done a phenomenal job.
Still unbeaten.
Yes, sir. Well, he and Dick Bennett, who coached here and did a great job. His son Tony doing a great job at Washington State.
Landry for three. Both teams are shooting over 50% so far in this game. This is a much higher scoring game than we anticipated.
I think that Pittsburgh's got to do a better job challenging shooters. I think defensively, that's not a typical Pittsburgh defense. They're getting wide open looks.
Gray is on the bench for Pittsburgh. Big spins into the lane, doesn't get the bounce. And we've got a foul on the floor against Wisconsin.
You know, looking at their schedule right after the Oklahoma State game, they have a date with Dayton.
A good Dayton
Dayton
team.
beat Louisville. They got a kid named Roberts who's outstanding. And I'm telling you, Brian Gregory's club is not going to be Cupcake City, even though it's at the Oakland Zoo. I can't wait till you and I are going to be there twice.
A couple of times for Georgetown
and Connecticut.
And for Connecticut. That foul on Krabenhoft, his second. And how about this, Dick? Pittsburgh gets in the bonus before Wisconsin does. Wisconsin's committed 7 fouls, Pittsburgh 6. And now Krabenhoft is going to have to come out as Michael Flowers checks back in.
Flowers has really played well on the perimeter all year. They had a tough game at Winthrop. Went to overtime. Greg Marshall's club almost pulled that out, made 13 threes. Wisconsin's
only loss to a very good Missouri State team, beaten by 2 in the South Padre Invitational. Pittsburgh is undefeated, and as we mentioned, 44-0 in November-December under Jamie Dixon during his 4-year tenure.
That's amazing.
Cameron Taylor, Butch from the weak side.
Butch really giving him an extra star here today. We knew all about certainly Tucker being a star, but Butch really elevating his game this afternoon.
Butch with 13, Tucker with 17 already. Ramon uses a screen, buries another three.
He's NBA, nothing but nylon. They just got to get him some looks. He's feeling it. You can look at the emotion. I mean, this is when you talk about a tournament-flavored game, they beat him 2 years ago in Milwaukee. I thought they got a raw deal, Pittsburgh.
That's right.
They were a better seed.
Pittsburgh was a 3, Wisconsin was a 6.
And they had to play them in Milwaukee, but they were able to survive and win it.
The first time in a Wisconsin regular season of basketball history that there's been a top 10 matchup. Taylor a little short. Number 2, Pittsburgh. Number 7, Wisconsin. Pittsburgh's never been number 1. Wisconsin's never been higher than number 6. 2-on-1. Taylor for Tucker!
Oh, little high wall. Are you serious? He could be National Player of the Year. America! America! Get familiar with the name. It is Tucker. T-U-C-K-E-R. It is Tucker. And that was his mom. She's jumping with joy. She said, that's my boy.
By Fran Fraschilla and Stephen Bardo, and a good game, guys. Wisconsin came to play. Certainly Orlando Tucker.
Well, Orlando Tucker, when you look at the Wisconsin system, the swing offense, perfect example of the increased versatility of Tucker.
And you see the veteran ball club of Pittsburgh led by Ronald Ramon going up into hostile territory doing their thing.
And coming up on the K Jewelers halftime report, we will discuss Bob Knight as he closes in on Dean Smith. And guys, Bob Knight, 877 career wins, none against Dick Vitale.
But he was 48-6 against Wisconsin. But he, Scott, never had to go up against the likes of Orlando Tucker. This Wisconsin program has really been elevated, and Orlando Tucker did some serious elevating on that.
You know what's really great to see kids get better and better as they come to the collegiate level. He was not a big-time recruit out of a high school level.
Yep.
He really became a great player by being here and playing in his system and being part of his system and his work ethic. He's a gym rat. Loves to be in a gym.
And Bo Ryan says by the time it's all said and done at the end of the year, he's got a chance to be the best leader that Bo Ryan has ever coached.
Tell Steve Bardo in the studio, under his lane, I let him get out of the state of Illinois.
Ramon's made 3 threes already in this game, not this time. Offensive rebound for Biggs. Graves open, foot on the line, missed the jumper, and look who's got the basketball.
He's doing it all. He's doing everything except sell popcorn.
Pittsburgh's already allowed 40 points. That's how many they gave up against Buffalo last weekend. That matches the most they've allowed all season. And now Butch, he's on fire with 15.
He's wide open. I think Fran Fraschilla would tell you in the studio, you got to come out and challenge shooters. Somebody's going to let them know he's got 15 already. I can make that open shot. You saw me shoot.
Season highs 18, career highs 23. The big fella's got 15.
But take a look at his shots, Dan. They're wide open. So surprising. That's normally not a Pittsburgh defense.
And a hold is called on Marcus Landry. That'll quiet the crowd a little bit. The 8-point lead ties the largest lead so far in this game for Bo Ryan's Badgers.
Landry had to learn a little bit about responsibility and accountability academically.
Landry missed the second half of last season due to academics. Greg Steemsma, one of their big guys off the bench, also missed the second half of last season due to academics. Steemsma also suffers from depression, and that may have played a role in it. He is now doing much better, both emotionally and academically. Cameron Taylor didn't play well the second half of last year. Wisconsin looked like they were on their way to a great season, but when Steemsma and Landry were lost and Taylor's play deteriorated a little bit, they were blown out in the first round of the NCAA tournament by Arizona.
In fact, they lost their last 4 games last season.
Pittsburgh, meanwhile, in this great run under Ben Howland and Jamie Dixon, they've never gotten past the Sweet 16, and there's some hungry Panthers to take it to the next level.
Very deceiving when you say, though, they lost their last 4 games. They were tough spots. You're talking about Arizona. You're talking about at Iowa. I mean, they had some tough losses.
How about this guy? How about Brian Butch?
He said, America, get familiar with me. Brian Butch having one of those games you dream about. The lights are on, the camera, the stage. Dan Schumann and Boris go for the house.
Tucker with a steal, Dick. And this is a healthy Orlando Tucker right now, showing us all his skills. Landry turns it over. Brian Butch has scored as many points this half as he scored in a game so far this year.
They challenged him on that one. He's getting that good arc. It's really great when you got a big guy that can step out. It gives you so much versatility, flexibility. Slide Tucker to the box, bring him out, take big people away from the basket.
Not very often does a team's front court players dominate Pittsburgh's front court players. Gray with good position inside. He's got 9, the assist to Levance Fields.
Well, Fields, we talked about his 3-to-1 ratio. Went to Zavarian with Chris Halfway and made a mistake going to the NBA. Wasn't ready. And then you talk about Zavarian, you talk about Chris Mullen, one of my favorite players. As you watch Gray getting that deep post position. He's really learned how to move without the ball. That's what's made him effective, sliding inside.
Dick, Pittsburgh, one of only 8 undefeateds, and we mentioned their next game's a very tough one against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State will have to get by Tennessee first to remain undefeated. What do you think so far of Pitt?
Well, you know, look at the unbeaten season, but we don't show who Southern Mississippi has beaten. I don't want to get into that because they got my cupcake award for the preseason cupcakes. Well, I just still love to play cupcakes. I will tell you this, these 2 clubs are going to be such major factors in March. That experience factor and the defensive factor. When you defend well, you got a chance. Today, we're not seeing great defense, though, out of Pittsburgh like they normally play.
Pittsburgh picked to win the Big East ahead of Connecticut. And Wisconsin picked second in the Big Ten behind Ohio State. Ohio State is here at the Kohl Center with Greg Oden and all of his friends on January the 9th.
Are you going to be here?
I'm going to be here.
I'm going to be here.
If you'll allow me. I can't wait to be here for that one.
Should be a lot of fun. I think Ohio State, when you look at that club, they're the team to me that people are going to have a tough time to deal with come in March when Oden gets that experience.
Shot clock turned off. Going to be Tucker, it looks like, with 5 seconds to go. Deep 3.
Oh, silly foul right there.
Oh, and it's going on Kendall in Pittsburgh.
I thought it was Butch climbing the back.
That's going to be number 3, I think, on Kendall.
They get it on Kendall first. You got to play smarter than that. With 1 second, you got to play smarter than that. It's tough from our angle.
So a 1-and-1 for Butch, who's already got 18 points. He and Tucker have combined for 38 of Wisconsin's 45.
What a half he's had.
Almost doubling his season average already.
You know, he struggled his freshman year, but a lot of times we don't understand, people in the media like ourselves, what he went through. Emotionally, his mom battling cancer. It was a tough time for him. Very difficult to concentrate on basketball.
Graves stepped out of bounds, and Wisconsin's going to get the ball back.
Have no chance to get a shot here. All they can do is basically tip it. Less than 3 seconds. 0.3 of a second.
Michael Flowers is going to inbound it for the Badgers. They've got a second to play with and a 10-point lead. And now another good outside shooter, Jason Bohannon, is going to check into the game for Landry. Watch Bohannon make 10 threes in a row during warm-up before the game today.
Wow. You know, you talk about they lost to Arizona the year prior. They lost in the Elite Eight, Wisconsin, to North Carolina, who went on to win the whole national title.
Tucker gets it off. Oh, what an attempt by Orlando Tucker. About the only thing that didn't go right for him in the first half. Part of our Star Watch. And Tucker's been a superstar in the first half here in Madison.
He's been the 3S man, super scintillating, sensational. He's also had a lot of help from Mr. Butch. He's been sensational. I'll tell you, Doris, he's been absolutely great.
Yeah, he's had a great half, Dick. Obviously, we expect Orlando to score. What allowed Brian to be as effective as he was?
Well, Brian's been open, and he's been a little more aggressive off of some of the reads, you know, on the pops, where he would set a screen and then pop out. His footwork seems to be pretty good, and it's putting him in a position where he's getting those looks, so I hope he continues to do that.
It was nip and tuck. You got a little bit of separation from Pittsburgh late, but they're still shooting a high percentage. Anything you want differently on the defensive end?
Well, I mean, we've been trying to put him in positions where they're tough shots. I'll tell you what, when they're draining them like that and coming hard off those screens, best thing you can do is just keep working them, try to get them a little uncomfortable, maybe wear them out on the screen some. But I don't know how you're going to do that unless you foul a jump shooter, and we don't want to foul a jump shooter.
All right, Coach, good luck in the second half. Dan?
Thanks, Doris. Most points allowed by Pitt in the first half this year. Biggest halftime deficit for unbeaten Pitt this year. Orlando Tucker and company have skied to a 10-point lead. Let's go back to Scott Reese.
All right, Dan, thanks so much. So the first ever Wisconsin regular season matchup of top 10 teams is going quite nicely for the Badgers as we welcome you in to the Kay Jewelers halftime report. I'm joined by Fran Fraschilla and Stephen Bardo. And guys, how about that 1-2 punch of Tucker and Butch?
Well, Pittsburgh hasn't played that poorly. It's been really the two-man show, and it starts with Orlando Tucker. Remember, this is his 5th year in Bo Ryan's system, and the way the offense is set up, it allows for versatility. Tucker came to Wisconsin as a small power forward, so he gets it done inside. But in 5 years, he's improved his game on the perimeter. He can put it on the floor, knock down shots. Watch him move without the ball right now and attack the rim. And then obviously when you put the whole package together, it's the outstanding athletic ability that we've seen in the first half, Stephen Bardo, making him a potential player of the year candidate.
And playing off of him is Brian Bush, the young man that Dick Vitale just talked about. Had a hard time adjusting to being a McDonald's High School All-American. Came in, struggled a little bit. But this guy is really attacking great on the outside. That's why they're having such success. They talk about Pittsburgh in their defensive prowess. You see the jumpers that Butch has made. When he starts feeling that and starting to get a little touches inside and pulling Gray away from the basket, he can be very, very effective as he has thus far with 20 points, his season high so far.
Butch and Tucker combining for 40 of Wisconsin's 47 points in the first half. Ronald Ramon keeping the Panthers in it with 11. He's having a nice season as a junior. We're just getting warmed up here on the Kay Jewelers halftime report. 8:77 and counting. The General closing in on the Dean. We will discuss on the flip side. Going down to Tucker's town, and why not? It's a good place to be. Orlando, 7 of 10, 20 points in the first half. Badgers up 10 against Pittsburgh. Of course, Bobby Knight is tracking Dean Smith, just 2 wins away from the former North Carolina head coach atop the Division I men's college basketball wins list. And at Arkansas, Texas Tech today, 2 Eastern right after our game. Now, what about head-to-head? Well, the General's gotten the Dean a couple of times. He got him back on March 30th of '81. The Isaiah Thomas-led Indiana team won the NCAA title over Carolina. And then March of '84, Franny.
Well, Dan Dockich, now the coach of Bowling Green, became a household name. He guarded and slowed down a guy named Michael Jordan.
So as we look ahead now to Bobby Knight ultimately catching and passing Dean Smith, becoming #1 on that all-time list, we compare A versus B, Knight versus Smith. First of all, the similarities between the two.
Well, there are similarities. First of all, they're the only 2 people in NCAA history to have played on and coached a national championship team. Coupled with the fact that they also won Olympic gold medals, they also played for great college coaches. Of course, Dean Smith played for the legendary Fog Allen at Kansas. Bobby Knight played for Fred Taylor at Ohio State. So while they're different, maybe in demeanor, there's a lot of similarities between the two. consistent winning, I think you'd say, at every level has been a staple of both of those great coaches.
Yeah, you look at the players and the quality of players that they were able to attract to both programs. In Indiana, you saw that Knight got the Isaiah Thomases, the Scott Mays, but then you saw the Mercedes-Benz come to Carolina with the Jordans, the Worthies, and you look at the work ethic on and off the court for both of these guys. He got Jordan, Worthy, and Perkins to buy into a system, whereas Knight's guys were predicated on the defensive end and their motion offense. And you also look at what they were able to do in terms of buying into the system. It's just tremendous what both of these guys have been able to do with one has Cadillacs, one has Toyotas, but they both got them to do the same thing. So tremendous job on both sides.
That said, two tremendous coaches, but different coaching styles. Fran, tell us what we're talking about.
Well, you're right. And go back to clinic talk. We always talk with Indiana basketball, simplicity and execution. One main offense, one main defense. Man-to-man defense, motion offense. Whereas Coach Smith, surprise and change. Multiple defenses and multiple offenses. The four corners, the run and jump. The big thing with Coach Knight's philosophy was take one defense, one offense, and execute it to the very best of your ability and not worry about surprise and change.
And, when you look at the players that both of these coaches were able to attract, Coach Fran Fraschilla, you look at the guys on a national level for North Carolina, he was able to recruit nationally, whereas Bobby Knight stuck in the Midwest, those hard-nosed guys who would play, the screen, the flare cut, the Steve Alford type of basketball, but both were very successful. And you look at the Cadillacs and the Mercedes-Benz of Jordan and Worthy and those guys, Smith did a very good job of managing egos and getting the high school All-Americans to buy into his program, whereas Knight, on the other hand, had guys that were good players but weren't necessarily high school All-Americans, but was able to mesh them together and play that Indiana style of basketball that now he's brought down at Texas Tech and has been successful.
But a guy like Calvert Chaney comes to mind, who had a great career at Indiana, who was a late bloomer out of Evansville and turned out to be one of their all-time greats.
And interesting that Dean probably had more talent top to bottom. Knight got him 3 titles to 2. So again, that speaks to the breadth of coaching ability of the general and Bob Knight. Meanwhile, our game in Wisconsin, it's the Badgers with an impressive first half over unbeaten Pittsburgh, 47-37. Back from the studio right after this.
This halftime report.
What a great first half for the Wisconsin Badgers here with the sold-out Kohl Center. Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers. Number 2 and unbeaten Pittsburgh down by 10 against the Badgers going to the second half. Orlando Tucker and Brian Butch, they've got to share the headlines here.
Oh, they were absolutely sensational. Tucker and Butch got wide open shots, I thought, for Butch. They didn't step out and challenge them. Hey, think about what's at stake when you look at Pittsburgh. They've won 44 in a row in the months of November and December. Haven't lost. Think about this, 10 in a row over Big Ten competition, 21 in a row non-conference, and 6 road games in a row. I mean, that's amazing when you look at those numbers.
Orlando Tucker and Brian Butch each led the way with 20 points. Both teams shooting over 50%. A 20-9 run for Wisconsin to win the first half. How about this, Dick? 11 assists against only 2 turnovers for the Badgers. That's our PlayStation 2 game track here from Wisconsin. A 10-point lead for the Badgers. And there's one of the stars, and probably a guy that Pittsburgh didn't spend that much time thinking about how to defend him. Brian Butch averages 9.6, 20 in the first half.
That swing offense, they do a lot of screening down, pop people out, use vertical screens, use horizontal screens.
Levon Kendall, 3 fouls. Remember, he picked up that one right at the end of the first half, so he does not start the second half. Tyrell Biggs is on the floor for Pittsburgh. Taylor. Nice drive, back rim as it comes out. Look at Brian Butch getting after it, and he draws the foul.
He's not resting on his laurels from that first half. He comes out aggressively.
Let's find out about Pittsburgh right now. Doris Burke had a chance to talk to Jamie Dixon. Doris?
Well, you can see the frustration clearly all over his face. Despite the fact that those two guys get 40, the only thing he wanted to talk to me about was the fact that they were out-rebounded. They give up another offensive board there. I asked him about Levon Kendall, obviously not starting the half. He said once he comes back in, we'll have him go all out. But clearly, the only thing upsetting him the rebounding margin, 19-11 in favor of Wisconsin.
Doris, last year in a Pittsburgh win over Wisconsin on New Year's Eve in Pittsburgh, the Panthers were so physical, the Badgers weren't quite prepared to step up to that level of physical play. They knew what they were getting into here today, and they have responded to the challenge. Mike Cook with a jumper.
And that's what Cook does well, put points on the board. He can be a real strong scorer for them.
Chappell with Biggs on him. And a foul by Biggs, his second already this half, his second of the game as well.
I think Bo Ryan utilizes that box exceptionally well, that swing offense. Thinking about the swing offense, that was adopted years ago by Ed Jucker. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the highest Wisconsin has ever been ranked was number 6 in like 1962-63. And winning the national title that year was Ed Jucker with the swing offense. And I will tell you this, Dan, Mr. Schulman, I used to buy his book and read and try to utilize the swing sets in my offensive sets.
Bo Ryan also got a lot of his coaching philosophy from Tom Davis, a guy that he got to know very well, took a lot from him over the years.
Tom Davis went to the Wisconsin Platteville, where he won 4 national titles at the Division III level. Then Mr. Bo Ryan.
On the drive, Cook is fouled. They're going to name the court after Bo Ryan, apparently, up there. He spent so many years in Wisconsin Platteville, 2 years in Wisconsin Milwaukee. But Bo Ryan, when the job came open here in Madison, this was not the leading name. This was not a guy that everybody thought was going to get the job. And it was actually the 3rd time over the years that Bo Ryan had interviewed for this job.
Well, you know, sometimes second or third choice works out. I know I was like about the 3rd or 4th choice for my wife, and it's worked out for 35 years.
I think it's 5th, actually. She told me 5th.
Hey, let me tell you this. You mentioned the name of the floor after him. I keep saying it. They better name that floor to Robert Montgomery Knight, Assembly Hall down there in Indiana, for what he achieved.
Bob Knight, 877 wins, going for 878 right after this game today here on ESPN. Texas Tech at Arkansas. Cook, nice pass inside to Gray. Good patience. Butch is called for the foul, his second.
Gray did not have to put the ball to the deck. He should have taken that ball, went right to the basket. He ran a little cut off the low post. We're watching now. He's going to come across. Now he's going to drop step. Great drop step. Excellent post move. That's what coaches work on. Orlando Antigua and all their people work on teaching those other moves.
Fouls on Chappell. His 3rd, not Bush. So Chappell's out. Steamsma's in. You know, Aaron Gray thought about going to the NBA, waited until the last day to decide, pulled his name out. You know what amazing thing about this Pittsburgh program? With all the success they've had the last 8-9 years under Ben Howland and Jamie Dixon, there's not one Pittsburgh player from this era in the NBA. There wasn't one McDonald's All-American who came into the program.
That's a tribute to both Ben Howland and to Jamie, the job they have done. They talk every day, by the way, but they will not play each other unless it's tournament time.
Steamsman, the high arcing jumper, well short. Slapped back in by Flowers. What a great play. And now Gray comes down with a rebound. We've got one of the great Pittsburgh players from recent years in the house here today, and Brandon Knight. He's now their video coordinator as Cook knocks down the 3. There's Brandon Knight. You want to talk about a competitor? That guy got after it, and now he's a real gadget guy. He's become their video coordinator, and Jamie Dixon sees a future in coaching for Brandon Knight.
Well, Brevin now, his brother playing out there in Charlotte.
Butch right down the lane, and a block is called. I have never seen him play anywhere close to this aggressively and assertive.
Yeah, he really is being assertive on the offensive side. You know, you mentioned Brandon Knight. I mentioned his brother Brevin. The best player in the family was the father, Melvin. Melvin was terrific as you watch him go down the lane. Why do I know? Melvin went to Seton Hall back in the early 60s. He even admitted before the game, I said, Brandon, your father was better than you. And he says, you're right.
3rd foul on Tyrell Biggs, and the officials may be going over to check if they got the right guy. That's one of the things they can go to the monitor for. If it is Biggs, it's his 3rd foul. Now, apparently what they're looking at, I guess, was the Cook shot down at the other end to see if that was a 2 or a 3.
I'll let you say, man. You got 2 eyes. I got 1.
I'm staying out of it.
Staying out of it?
I'm staying out of it.
You don't want to be a zebra?
No, let the stripes do their job.
Tough from that angle. Returning.
There was one that was ruled a 3 for Pittsburgh in the first half that Bo Ryan didn't like at all. And now Curtis Shaw looks like he's going to call the coaches together, perhaps. It's a three. He's just signaling to us, as you can see. It is a three. All right. For the second time today, say, what's going on around here?
Well, unless you really can be decisive.
Unless you go with what was ruled on the floor, unless you've got evidence to the contrary. So both remain threes. The officials have to make a call on a shot right away. They can't just not make any call. How about this?
Bo Ryan got the job. He took over from Brad Soderberg, now over at St. Louis.
If Butch makes the next free throw, Dick, he ties his career high with 23 points. Highly acclaimed McDonald's All-American from the state of Wisconsin, so the Badgers went after him hard. Out of Appleton, Wisconsin, at 23 points.
Well, Dick Bennett had this place rocking when they went to the Final Four in 2000.
Right.
The year that Tom Izzo on Michigan State won it all, beat the Gators.
And two programs here in Pittsburgh and Wisconsin that have been on a tremendous run of consistent success over the last 6-7 years.
Well, Pittsburgh showed a lot of guts coming back with 12 down with like about 10 minutes to go against Buffalo.
Steensma takes it right away from Aaron Gray.
They got so many big bodies they can rotate. Steensma, you talk about certainly Chappell.
Butch. They got three guys who are all at least 6'10", 240 in the rotation. Tucker is fouled by Graves.
Tucker does a great job getting free for the ball. Uses the curl move exceptionally well. Has great motion without the ball.
Just to tie the shoe up before we resume play. Tucker's also about the most vocal guy you'll ever see. He's jabbering away at his teammates all through practice, and he sings a lot during practice and games. He sings out loud just as a big music fan, and he likes it.
I mean, you're as good as he is, you can do whatever you want. Just perform. And he is performing. He's a PT period, prime-time performer.
On the receiving end of a spectacular alley-oop in the first half of this game.
Look at Butch. He wants the ball in the deck. He wants the ball. He wants the ball. He says, get me the ball. Get me the ball. I'm on fire. Look, now he's a cheerleader. Let's get the crowd involved. See, when you're playing well, that gives you confidence, baby.
And Pitt, Dick, is paying the price. Kendall's got three. Biggs has three. They don't really have a second big body out on the floor right now to defend Butch. Sam Young at 6'6" is their second biggest player. Gray's jumper, no. Graves skies for the rebound, and Gray is fouled by Butch.
Stayed after it on the glass. Very active. Well, Ryan likes what he's seeing. 80 and 5. 80 and 5. Look at right here. Catches the ball, spins to the basket, good drop step. He's excited now. Now he's going to be a cheerleader. Now he's going to be a cheerleader. Look, he likes these. Plus his girlfriend probably sitting in the crowd. Could be a big man on campus.
Second foul on Butch as Gray knocks down the free throw. Wisconsin is smart enough and experienced enough. They're going to exploit this Pittsburgh deficiency. They're going to take advantage of this foul trouble. Butch is going to get a huge ovation as he comes out.
25 big ones, a career high. 6 rebounds. Coach says, great job, but we got a lot of minutes yet to play. This game is far from over.
Well, they can sit him down for just a few seconds now, get to the under 16. He can get a good break and get right back in there as Gray knocks down the free throw. So Tucker on the bench, Butch on the bench. The first time today that both of those guys have been on the bench at the same time as Pittsburgh goes zone day.
Yeah, they're going to go to the 2-3, try to protect people.
This helped get him back in the game against Buffalo last weekend. They were in trouble.
And not to take anything away from Buffalo, but Buffalo's certainly not on a level right now with Wisconsin. But getting the gaps of that. We got some real good shooters from the wings.
It'll be Cameron Taylor. He got his own miss.
He said, why be free? I'll just take it to the goal. And it'll get free the old-fashioned way. Nobody blocks out. See, that's one of the real deficiencies of the zone. You don't get blackout assignment.
Wisconsin trying to knock off number 2 Pittsburgh. Cameron Taylor with a layup, and he draws the foul.
Capitol Little Rock inside Alltel Arena. The General Robert Montgomery Knight continues his chase to become the all-time win leader in college basketball history. His Red Raiders take on the Razorbacks of Arkansas next. But right now, back to Dan, Dick, and Doris.
All right, Brad, thank you. And here's what is coming up for Texas Tech as Bob and I moves closer and closer to taking over from Dean Smith as the all-time coaching leader in wins, men's Division I at Arkansas against Bucknell a week from today. A very good UNLV team is coming to Lubbock on the 28th, and then it may be the record breaker January 1st against New Mexico.
Well, you know, UNLV had that big win over Nevada,
right,
over Nick Fasikas and company, Lon Kruger, and knows a little bit about the Big Ten, having coached at Illinois. You know, Illinois is the only team, when you talk about Big Ten, think about this. Wisconsin's 38-2 under Bo Ryan on this court in the Big Ten. Their only 2 losses, the Fighting Illini.
Largest lead of the game right now for the Badgers, but Fields cuts into that. He's going to be a terrific player. Played behind Carl Krauser and with Krauser some last year, but just a sophomore. He's got a very bright future.
Yeah, he really handles the ball exceptionally well.
Steamsma turns it over. Pittsburgh on the run. Fields to Graves and a block by Landry.
Landry does that really well. 3 blocks against Marquette.
Cook strong to the rim. Pittsburgh wants the basket in addition to the foul.
Ray trying to be a referee. Higgins saying no, 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 no.
Yeah, Ted Hillary says no as well.
3 good guys on the game. Shaw, Higgins, and Hillary.
Michael Flowers is called for the foul.
Take a look right now. There's a good decision. Gives it up. Fields. There's the good block. Definitely got that ball on a way up.
First free throw rattles out for Cook. You know, Jamie Dixon has been through, and his family have been through a tremendously difficult time in the last year. I think college basketball fans know his younger sister Maggie was the head coach at Army, took them to the NCAA tournament in her first year there.
28 years of age.
That's right, just 28, and passed away suddenly and tragically from a heart arrhythmia in April. And Jamie and Maggie were inseparable, talked every day, even though he was about 13, 14 years older. Just a very, very tough time for the family. And then a very close cousin of Jamie Dixon's, who was more like a brother to him, passed away a couple of months later.
Well, I spoke to Jamie on the phone earlier this week, and he said it was so emotional going back to West Point. He took his team up there to play their first game as a tribute to his sister.
The Dixon Classic. It's going to become an annual event where the Army women's team plays in a game, and then the Pittsburgh men's team plays in a game. Cameron Taylor again.
Taylor's certainly an outstanding guard in that he plays within the system. He understands the system of Orion. Standing ovation by Bo's Brigade, by the Grateful Red. They're all jumping with joy. Barry Alvarez is in the house. Former football coach, now the AD.
Standing game. This one, coming into it, was one we thought would be outstanding. And Wisconsin has played some phenomenal basketball here today. Cameron Taylor with a couple of recent field goals. Biggest lead of the game for Wisconsin. Levon Kendall back into the game and out for Pittsburgh. Just got knocked to the floor, and Steamsma just got called for the foul.
Really done a great job taking away the transition. They control tempo so well. That's really a style of Bo Ryan. Hey, you look at Cook going to the foul line. You think about some kids that are transfers, not getting a lot of publicity, doing a great job. Hey, what about Mike Cook right here? Goes from East Carolina to Pittsburgh. You got a kid, Gerald Brown, who played at Providence, now played at Loyola, Maryland, doing a phenomenal job. You think about Justin Hawkins, started out at Utah, now at New Mexico State. You think about Aaron Johnson, formerly at Penn State, doing a great job rebounding for New Mexico. And Jack McClinton, he has scored 7 times already in the 20s for Miami, Florida.
You can see what Wisconsin has done, shredding the Pittsburgh defense. This is not a Pittsburgh team that gives up a lot of points. Nobody's gotten to 70 against them yet this season. Wisconsin's already at 60 right now.
Doing a great job with spacing, great ball movement. The key to their offense and their swing, a lot of ball movement, a lot of player movement. Getting good screens, releasing, stepping out after the screen with their big people.
And right now trying to buy some minutes with Tucker and Butch on the bench. And the guy taking over is Cameron Taylor.
He really can get to the rack. He changes direction exceptionally well. Has an excellent first step. Take him right now. He's going to use the screen, go down the lane. I mean, he knows how to drive and he knows how to finish.
This is a guy, Dick, who as a freshman hardly played, and now he's a Wooden and Naismith candidate preseason coming into his senior year, and it's a trademark of both of these programs. Guys come into the program maybe not all that highly heralded or recruited, but by the time they're juniors and seniors, they are terrific basketball players.
Well, they play within the system, they play together. I know a guy in Pittsburgh who can appreciate this, probably watching the game, Jimmy Leland. Jimmy Leland's that same mentality as a manager in baseball. All about the team, all about being unselfish. And what a great job he did with the Tigers.
Taylor's got 9, all in the second half. Ramon had a big first half, hit 3 threes for Pittsburgh.
See, again, Ramon's facing a little bit more, not getting those open looks.
Kendall the bounce pass to Gray. They surround him. And Landry with a block.
They are emotionally so charged up here. Wisconsin only 2 losses, 38-2 in Big Ten action on this floor, 80-5 overall under Bo Ryan. His name is really William, Sir William Ryan. I'm going to call him King William.
Ramon for 3. His shooting is helping to keep Pittsburgh close.
They got to get him more shots. They got to find him and get him more open looks.
And you figure they got to make a run right now with Tucker and Butch on the bench. They've been sitting out for about 3 minutes. And Tucker has returned. Butch is still out, but Tucker hasn't scored here in the second half. 3rd foul on Fields, and that's going to put Pittsburgh over the limit and send Wisconsin to the line.
What a terrific college town.
Yes,
Madison
great.
really is. I mean, it's beautiful here. The people are so special. They really get after it. Love their Badgers. And they're going to be in the Capital One bowl game played against Arkansas. Mr. McFadden and company.
Great athletic tradition. Both their men's and women's hockey teams are the defending national champs. And now maybe the biggest ovation of the day is for the return of Brian Butch.
Football coach, 36 years of age. Brett Bielema. Bielema's done a phenomenal job. 11-1. They're only lost to Michigan. Some people thought they should get part of the BCS Bowl.
Bohannon knocks him down. The lead back to 13.
He's not afraid to go to his bench. He utilizes people like the Bohannons, the Landrys.
They're trying to run Ramon off some screens. Bohannon's covering him. Ramon gets free. Misses the 15-footer.
As Mr. Butch again on the glass. He's having a game of games.
Yes, he is.
This could be a confidence builder against a quality opponent like Pittsburgh. And let's face reality, this is a quality opponent.
Number 2 unbeaten.
It's not Cupcake City. 44-0 in November and December. Jamie Dixon.
In jeopardy here today.
10 in a row against Big Ten competition.
Shot clock down to 6. Taylor's been the man here in the second half. Tried to split the double team, and he turned it over.
But one thing they make you do, they make you play defense for the entire possession.
Fields misses the 3. Benjamin with a rebound. Gray with a rebound, and count it.
Gray working the offensive boards. They're going to get some looks for Kendall. He can shoot the ball. Bo Ryan very upset. Didn't like the block out. Going to watch Gray working on the glass. Ball comes loose right here off the glass, and there's Gray with the conversion.
Despite being under the weather, Dick, he's starting to put up some good numbers. 14 points and 6 rebounds today for Aaron Gray. The foul was on Chappell, his 4th, so he'll have to come out, and Landry checks right back in.
Well, they got a lot of fouls they can play with. Steve Smith, you talk about Chappell, Landry. They got bodies they can rotate. See, the one thing Wisconsin makes you do, a lot of teams can play defense for the first 7 to 8 seconds. With them, they're going to make you have to play defense for almost the entire possession. And if you don't, they're going to get an open look.
Gray sits down. Biggs returns. 10-point lead for Wisconsin, trying to avenge a defeat last year against the Panthers.
All about winning is getting the right people to shoot the ball and get open shots, to move the ball until you get a higher percentage shot.
2-3 zone from Pittsburgh. Kendall in the middle, and he just drew the charge. Another one of the intangibles that Kendall brings to Pittsburgh.
We talk about all his intangibles, but I think he's better than that, and I think that he can put points on the board for him. As you look at him rotating over, taking the charge. First bad play of the afternoon by Orlando Tucker.
And Kendall's a guy NBA scouts are looking at because of some of the things that he can do. And at 6'9", he can also shoot the ball.
But he's got to look for a shot. He's got to want to shoot it. They can make a little run right now.
Ramon gets free.
Got the right guy to shoot it.
Pittsburgh gets it back.
Playing a little bit more aggressively now. From behind, they got to scrap.
Tucker scoreless in the second half for Wisconsin, but the Badgers still lead by 10.
They got to represent the mentality of that city, blue collar.
Offensive foul, Ramon.
Hurts when you don't get the shot, the possession.
We'll step aside with the Badgers up 10 on unbeaten Pittsburgh.
one-loss teams, Butler and Purdue. Mike Green here in the paint and one, and that puts the Bulldogs up by 8 with just over 8 to go in the half. And of course, we are counting down to our second game here on ESPN. Sonny Weems has jump-started that Arkansas offense. The Hogs hoping not to be Bobby Knight's next victim. Tip time just after 2 p.m. Eastern. Guys?
All right, Scott. Well, Pittsburgh hoping to not be Bo Ryan's next victim here with the Kohl Center. As Dick has mentioned, the Badgers are 80-5 in this building under Bo Ryan in the last 6 seasons.
I think what really blows my mind, 38-2 in a Big Ten. That's
a big shot for Taylor. What a second half for him.
Really stepping up for Tucker here in terms of putting points on the board. More attention to Tucker. Now he gets wide open looks.
Taylor's got a dozen, all of them here in the second half.
You know, sometimes the star doesn't score. It's because the defense makes an adjustment, but it allows other people to get open looks.
Gray with a much smaller man on him in Landry. Gray backs him down, and they should count that.
Count that basket.
Yep.
Count it. What an improvement. You talk about a guy that has really elevated his game. As a sophomore, he averaged 4 points a game. There he's with the spin. There's the interference. Then he went to 13-9 last year, and now he's at 16-8, 10 rebounds a game, and is going to have a terrific year all year.
And a big guy who wants to be a big guy. He's not out there shooting threes. He wants to work with his back to the basket.
Well, that's a lost part right now in basketball, having that true low-post big center. Ohio State has it in Greg Oden. Oh, is he special.
And a push is called on Keith Benjamin trying to defend Orlando Tucker. So far today, Pittsburgh really hasn't had an answer for Tucker. He hasn't scored him in the second half, but he's been on the bench for a while. They just haven't had anybody to match up with him.
Well, you know, I think about the Panthers. You certainly think about Jerome Lane. Remember that crashing, bringing down the backboard?
Right. Yeah.
I think about Billy Knight. He was a terrific player. Now in the front office with Atlanta. Also, stay away from the tennis court against Billy Knight. He's in another world. His mom certainly happy right here. That's Mrs. Tucker.
1 of 2 for Tucker.
That's the one area he's got to really get himself and work on and improve.
Gray with a good position again. He walked. Yes, he did.
He lifted his pivot, turned around and saw a guy his equal size in Butch. Pittsburgh blew out Florida State, and they really shut down Thornton. I'll tell you another good win they had over Massachusetts, who just recently beat Louisville.
They'll play Washington, Pittsburgh will, in February. They'll step out of conference to take on Washington. Their schedule definitely is getting tougher. And a careless call on Taylor.
Well, they'll be taking out Washington, but Washington's going to drop Gonzaga because they want to become more ambitious. Let me tell you this. Why don't they drop the Sacramento States on their schedule?
They've lost 8 out of 9 to Gonzaga. How much more ambitious can they get? Hey, we'll have the Zags Thursday against Duke.
Oh, Madison Square Garden. Will they get a double dip? They beat North Carolina there. Can they beat Duke there? It'll be defense against offense. Mike Krzyzewski's kids doing a phenomenal job defensively. When you talk about Gonzaga, they can score.
Again, Landry at 6'7", defending Gray.
He's got great elevation.
Now Butch comes over.
He walked right there.
Yeah.
No call. Lifted that pivot foot that he had established. The entire crowd wanted it.
Gray having to work hard for his 17 points here in this game.
See how they allow you to make you play defense? Take time off that shot clock, patient, and just make you have to dig in. And as soon as they catch somebody, lull them to sleep.
Everybody can pass. The big guys are good passers in this offense as well. Butch, baseline, turnaround, no, rebound Benjamin.
They usually get good shots. That's the key. If you get good shots, you're going to make your 45 to 50%.
They get good shots, they don't turn it over, and they don't foul. Look at Ramon with a bounce in his step.
He's really done a great job off that bench.
16.
Yes, sir. He's got to be proud, showing that he can really take it to the basket as well as shoot it.
Now the Grateful Red getting a little noisier, trying to get momentum shifted back in the Badgers' favor.
And one of the fans, I picked as my fan of the day, Michael Rivera, sophomore from out of Milwaukee. Every game I'm going to pick that fan, baby, that has that enthusiasm.
Benjamin fouls Tucker.
Gives these fans some publicity, man. Michael Rivera got here real early. Look at Ramon now.
Let's give Ramon some publicity.
Look at that screen. He's going to go away from the screen. Nice jump step.
I mean, that's their 6th man making those moves.
Yeah, he's really like a starter. Yeah. Jamie told us he has 9 starters.
Gray's gone out for Pittsburgh, so it's Kendall and Biggs in the front court for the Panthers, along with three smaller players, three guards really. Cook's more of a guard. Biggs, long jumper. And Flowers with a rebound.
They got 9 guys. Pittsburgh got to play at least 12 minutes a game. But you know what? Guys that are the 8th or 9th man, they don't want to hear about being a starter. Because the bottom line is they're not playing 30 minutes.
Kendall called for the foul, number 4 on him.
He broke the heart of Phil Martelli of the USA team when he put 40 against them. Take him out from the goal line.
Boy, not the way you want to pick up your 4th, that far away from the basket. It's also the 10th foul on Pittsburgh, so 2 shots the rest of the way for the Badgers.
In fact, Big Baby Davis told me last week, he said he couldn't believe it. He was on that team. He said he couldn't believe watching Kendall knock him one shot down after another.
Now Kendall's got to go out. Graves will sit down as well. Fields has returned, and Sam Young is in. So Tyrell Biggs and Sam Young are the front court right now for Pittsburgh with Gray and Kendall on the bench.
They keep waiting for Young to be a star. They watch him. They said he had a great practice on Thursday. He's battling a knee problem, some tendonitis. He can be explosive. It's getting down really a crucial time now for Pittsburgh.
Ramon open. One of his rare misses here today. Taylor came down with a rebound and is fouled by Young.
See, one of the things that makes it difficult to catch Wisconsin, they're not going to turn the ball over. Right. So you come out and go extend defensively and put pressure on them. They're not going to turn the ball over and give you easy baskets.
2 shots the rest of the way, remember, for Wisconsin. This time it'll be Taylor. The senior, averaging almost 12 points per game, is out of Minneapolis, and you can see all of his damage today has come here in the second half.
Well, I'm sure when they look at their non-conference schedule, Wisconsin fans, they stared at that date up at Marquette. They stared at Pittsburgh, and if they stay here and survive and win this game, what a week it's been. And in between, they said, come on now, the little guys, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Rob Jeter and company, and they got another W.
Biggest lead of the afternoon for the Badgers.
They have been excellent today. They have really excelled offensively and defensively. And they've had a star performance out of Tucker and out of Book.
What a tough shot by Mike Cook going down in the post, drawing the foul and banking it home to send us to the under-8 timeout. When we come back, Doris Burke will visit with Orlando Tucker's mom, Lisa Tucker. Tucker with the Badgers up by a dozen.
Now it's a 12-point lead over Pittsburgh, and joining me right now, Lisa Tucker and Orlando's brother, Antonio. And Lisa, we've documented all game long the circumstances that he has had to overcome during the course of his lifetime. Can you tell me, as his mother, what your greatest fear was when you were raising him?
Me not being there for my children. That was my fear. You know, I always wanted to be with my children, so.
What is it like for you as a mom to see a young man come out of those circumstances, be able to get a great education here at Wisconsin?
It's great. You know, it's Orlando's dream, and I'm so proud of him and all my children for their success.
Antonio, he talks about you as an inspiration and the fact that when you were young boys, you would lay in bed at night and discuss several things, and you were the leader of those conversations, Antonio. What were you trying to tell Orlando?
I think the biggest thing I was trying to tell him was to keep a positive attitude. You know, you're going to hit rough times in life, and you got to find something positive to hold on to and to keep going with your dream.
He wants to build community centers. What is your reaction to a young man who wants to give back to the community he came from?
I think it shows that he's the kind of person that doesn't forget where he come from, and you know, he wants to give back.
A lot of great days. Another big basket by your brother. Congratulations on all the successes, and thank you guys for joining us. Dan?
First field goal of the second half for Orlando Tucker. Another spectacular play as he completes the three-point play.
I think what's really terrific is that he wants to go back. They say he goes back to the community often, speaks to young kids about how you can make something of your life, and they can. I really believe that. I've been involved in the Boys and Girls Clubs, Dad, and there's so many leaders down there who extend a hand to kids in need.
And today, with his output, Tucker has moved from 5th to 3rd on Wisconsin's all-time scoring list. Now he rips down a rebound one-handed. You can see he's feeling good out there today.
Well, he's feeling healthy. He had a deviated septum.
Yeah,
a broken nose. You like that?
That's very good.
Septum, huh?
Mike Cook, the pull-up. Pittsburgh getting on the glass, but it'll be Wisconsin basketball.
I'll tell you one thing with Pittsburgh fans, they're going to be excited As you watch this right here, they're going to be excited about their future classes. You watch them cup that rebound. They got a great class coming in. In fact, Bob Gibbons, who does our inside report for ESPN.com, rating players as you look at the scoring totals of Tucker.
Got a chance to catch Michael Finley, 400 points behind him, maybe 20, 22 games to go, something like that.
Well, Bob Gibbons has their class. Pittsburgh ranked in the top 20. And they got a great kid coming in by the name of DeJuan Blair from out of Shenley High School in Pittsburgh. They dominated. They got actually signed 5 guys.
On the drive, Fields is foul. Well, Pittsburgh in the last 7-8 years has had a great run of success recruiting kids from New York City.
Barry Rorson.
Barry Rorson has now moved on. Joe Lombardi moved on as well. They're both head coaches now. Barry Rorson's out of Manhattan.
Yeah, he's at Manhattan where Franny Frischella did a great job when he was there. And you think about Bobby Gonzalez and the job he did now at Seton Hall. I'm sure Barry will do a super job. And Joe Lombardo is at Indiana University in Pennsylvania.
IUPUI. Landry out, Butch back in.
Don't forget my paisans now, Lombardo. See, I noticed you gave Rorson a lot of publicity.
I said it.
Take care of my Lombardo.
You know, sometimes, and I may be in the minority on this, but you're too busy talking to listen. Has anybody ever said that to you before?
Wow.
I just said it.
Wow. Wow. You took a shot at me there. You really took a shot. You hurt me.
We kid because we love, right? We kid because we love.
You're right, though. My wife says I talk too much.
Tucker. Whoa! What an attempt there by Flowers. Kravenhoff rips it away. Butch comes up with it and is fouled. Great tenacity by the Badgers.
It's going to be tough to overcome this club today. Their tenacity, their toughness.
Brian Butch having the game of his life. 25 points and 9 rebounds.
It's very active, the entire team.
Yep.
A lot of physical presence, but that's usually certainly a positive for Pittsburgh.
Let's check in with Doris.
Well, that is his 26th point. Certainly a career high as a collegian, but he did have 45 inside the Kohl Center once quarterfinals of the state tournament, broke a 35-year-old record. It was in a game where Lynn Greer from Temple got Lynn Greer holds the record for a collegian, guys. Temple, double overtime. Bo's first year, they ended up losing that game, but he's off to a very good game.
Ramon Doris misses the 3. Pittsburgh's going to have to get after it on the glass. Young misses. And it's going to be Badger basketball.
I see the announcers to my right from Wisconsin. Little smile on their face. Matt LePay and Mike Lucas. They really certainly look excited about the performance of the Badgers today.
Well, Jamie Dixon has a much different look on his face. His team was right in this game for about the first 15 minutes, but it's been a double-digit deficit since then.
Had no answer for Tucker or Butch. They want to get the ball inside. Tucker trying to post on the inside. Little mismatch.
Those two guys, Tucker and Butch, you mentioned, have combined for 51 points.
That's not bad, huh? No. That's not bad.
Yeah, and Taylor's had a big second half with 14, and all of them have come here in the second half.
Here's where Tucker really excels. If you double up, he's going to find the open man. So you're going to try to double on him.
Now he'll step out. Knock down the jumper.
Oh, what a performance. What a performance. If I had to cast my ballot today, for my National Player of the Year, it'd be Orlando Tucker. But obviously we got so much basketball to be played. But he's got to be in the mix. I hope people nationally realize how good this young guy is and how valuable he is to this team.
First team All Big Ten a year ago, preseason pick for Big Ten Player of the Year coming into this season.
Well, I'll tell you, Dan, what I love about him, he steps up in big games. Last week, he goes on the road against Marquette. He puts 28, makes that nice journey back to Madison where they were able to celebrate and smile. They went there, they said it wasn't a word said in the bus. But coming back, they were celebrating.
And again, they've got the rugged Big Ten coming up soon, including a game here against Ohio State on the 9th of January.
And that was a good, you beat the likes of Marquette at home and beat, for example, Pittsburgh, number 2 in the country.
Yes.
You're starting to show people nationally, well, we can play.
Their only loss was to Missouri State by a couple of points.
What are they saying out there? Just like Wichita State wins over LSU and Syracuse, the Missouri Valley.
Oh, Taylor got bumped a little bit by Gray. It has been physical from the outset here today.
Well, we'll be celebrating out in Madison today. Oh, they'll be celebrating.
Fouls on Ramon. There aren't many teams that can usually match up physically with Pittsburgh, but Wisconsin has more than held their own today.
Well, now Pittsburgh's got to regroup and have a tough date with the unblemished Oklahoma State team. You and I love that 1-2 combination we saw with certainly Mario Bogan and James Curry.
Yep. Nice win for them in New York against Syracuse when we had them. That game against Pittsburgh will be on the 21st on Thursday, 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Fields all the way, left hand.
Nice drive by Fields. Good change of direction.
Boy. And Jamie Dixon is some kind of hot right now on the Pittsburgh bench. During the timeout, let's go back to the studio and check in with Scott Reese.
All right, Dan, Holiday Hoops presented by Kay Jewelers continues with the super scorer Jarius Jackson trying to get Bob Knight career win number 878 as he chases down the Dean. Texas Tech and Arkansas in Little Rock after your game, guys.
All right, Scott, thank you. Well, we got a chance to spend New Year's Day potentially in Lubbock. Some point over the holidays, we're going to be there as Bob Knight gets closer to breaking the record.
Well, Lubbock, Texas on New Year's. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun out there. I mean, just to be around, to see that. I mean, when you think about the celebration he started 40 years ago plus. He was 19, I believe it was 65. He was 24 years of age. Head coach of West Point. I think he'll talk a lot about guys like Al LaBalbo. Certainly you think about guys like Tate's Locke, who've all been certainly vital in his career. Al LaBalbo was a guy that used to teach More You Man theory, former New Jersey high school super coach.
Tucker lost the handle. Pittsburgh needs a spurt here to get back into this game. Fields a little hesitation, missed the layup.
That was a tough shot though, Dan.
Yep. They keep it alive. Crowd wanted to walk. The floater goes for Fields on the baseline, and they're back within 12 with a little bit of energy.
I'll tell you one thing, you gotta like Fields. Fields, Ramon, they're gonna have a solid year. They're still, I think, the best team right now in the Big East.
A very young Connecticut team is unbeaten, but they haven't been tested the way that Pittsburgh has. We'll have UConn-Pittsburgh coming up in January.
Well, we'll find a lot about Connecticut when they go on the road against LSU.
Yeah. Nice turnaround by Tucker. 29 for Orlando Tucker.
He's big time. Mention Connecticut, they have some outstanding young players. Outstanding.
Ramon. Taylor had it. Butch grabs it.
10 in a row. They've had Pittsburgh over the Big Ten. But it looks like the Big Ten, they come out smiling in this matchup.
The 29 points today for Tucker is a season high. The 27 for Butch is a career high. Butch also has 10 rebounds today.
56 points. Well, Butch has been sensational. Yep. Steps out really well, can shoot that three.
The clock is their friend right now, and they know how to use it.
That's where they excel.
Tucker. And Gray with a rebound, and he is fouled by... Or is it going on Pittsburgh? It's going against Pittsburgh. A rough afternoon continues for the Panthers.
Bob Knight, career victory number 878, but it will not come easy against a good Arkansas team in Little Rock. Tip time, 2:08 Eastern time, as soon as we're done in Madison. Dan?
All right, Scott. Well, Dick showing off one of the skills people may not have known that he had, orchestrating the band pregame here today in Madison, and also a big article about you in the local paper, the Capital Times, here with you coming to town.
Well, I didn't see that article. You got a copy for me, and I saw it today. Wow. Did you write that for me? I talked about one of my, I tell you, he did a lot of research because he talked about one of the moments I had here in Wisconsin when I had a chance to coach against one of my idols, Al McGuire, down in Milwaukee. We were lucky that year to beat them. We had won 21 in a row, and that year went on to win the national title. I appreciate you giving me the article. It's nice of you. Taking care of me. Wow. I have no rhythm. Now leave the band. They asked me to come leave the band. I have no rhythm. I mean, I couldn't be in Dancing with the Stars if they tried.
Gravenhoff 1 of 2, the lead 15. And a foul is called against Wisconsin.
He's got to be happy today, certainly with their offensive effort. He wants to hold. Look at him from Chester, PA, the home of Jameer Nelson. All his buddies in Chester.
Pittsburgh, Dick, had not given up more than 68 points in a game this year. They've already allowed 84 here this afternoon.
They just dominated every phase of the game. They really have. Coming out, early, taking advantage of some of the matchups with Tucker. Take a look right here. Points in the paint. Turnover points +7. Second chance +5. Not turning the ball over. That's another big plus, Dan.
Winning the rebounding battle. They're up 9 there.
They've been winning every matchup.
Well, both coaches are equally upset with the officials here today.
What else is new?
Yeah.
What else is new? I mean, come on now.
Is this what your demeanor was like, prowling the sideline when you were coaching?
I was so wacky, it was unbelievable. I'm lucky they didn't have ESPN in those days.
Jump stop by Graves, and he knocks it down.
He's another guy I'm talking about. Graves, Ramon, Fields, Benjamin. They are solid on the perimeter. Yep. Yeah, they are. A very deep team. They've just been taken to the shed, as Chris Fowler would say today.
Tucker, not this time, and the rebound for Gray.
Brad Nessler getting ready for the Arkansas game in Texas Tech. Talked to Brad during the week. Nice little transition basket.
Fields to Benjamin. The lead's down to 10.
So, take a lot of time off the clock, spread the court. They use the shot clock so well.
They are not a great free throw shooting team, just 65% as a group, and they may have to knock some down to secure this win.
What they really do well is they understand score, strategy, and time. A lot of teams don't. We've seen situations where wrong people shoot the ball when they shoot it. This team understands situations.
A block is called on Graves, another foul call that has Jamie Dixon mad over on the bench.
Also, assistant Mike Rice stood up a little angry. His dad's the voice of the Portland Trailblazers.
Right.
Former coach at Duquesne.
There have been 43 fouls committed here in this game. It's been a rugged affair.
Jamie might get the first taste of an L in November and December. But as George Steinbrenner said, my friend, and you know baseball, Dave Winfield, you were Mr. May, but we need you to be Mr. October. And what they're saying in Pittsburgh, a loss now, not that bad. We don't want those losses in March.
Well, you look at both of these teams, if they stay healthy and things go well, as potential Final Four contenders?
Oh, I definitely think you're going to put them in the mix. I think you're looking right now, there's about 16 teams that you could say probably have a legit chance that could win 6 in a row. A lot of teams can get to the Sweet 16, but then many could win 6 in a row.
And a push is called on Krabenhoff. That will send Biggs to the line. It's 2 shots the rest of the way for both teams. Third foul on Krabenhoff. That'll stop the clock and allow Pittsburgh to try to cut into this deficit a little more.
Well, Pittsburgh over the last few years in the NCAA, last year lost to Bradley in the second round. Bradley went out, little run out of the Missouri Valley. Year before, they lost to Pacific in the first round. And then in 2004, lost to Oklahoma State in the Sweet 16. 2003 to Tom Crean's team, Marquette, when they had that dramatic run led by Wade.
Yep.
I advise anybody to get that article on Wade. All you young kids, read about Dwayne Wade in Sports Illustrated. A terrific article by S.L. Price. Great article.
2 big misses for Tyrell Biggs right there.
See, right now, it'll take time, manage your clock. Managing the clock is so important in being efficient and finishing games off. Bo's Brigade is going to be happy, the Grateful Red. Yep. They're going to party big time in Madison tonight.
They're starting to get on their feet right now here with the Kohl Center. Shot clock at 1. Taylor.
Talk about using the shot clock.
Yep.
The only thing they didn't do is score, and almost had an opportunity, Mr. Sherman, for the score.
And Krabenhoff got in there for the offensive rebound and was fouled. Wisconsin has matched the intensity of Pittsburgh here today, and they've executed a whole lot better.
They are used the whole shot clock. Look at it wind down. And now watch Krabenhoff. He can battle, tough physically.
Krabenhoff makes the first. Krabenhoff, a member of the Big Ten All-Freshman team a year ago, really stepped up in the second half of the year when Steamsma and Landry were out with academic issues.
Oh, they're getting loud now. They get low for their Badgers. They love their Badgers.
And it'll be out of bounds to Pittsburgh with just a minute and 33 to go as the Panthers are on the verge for losing for the first time this year and for the first time ever in November, December in 4 years under Jamie Dixon. Came in 44-0. Ramon's three, no. Rebound Gray.
Do you think Mr. Tucker and Mr. Butch are going to be big men on campus this weekend?
You got that right. Look at Butch.
He wants to rock, baby.
He has played with some fire in his belly here today.
Yes, sir. Look at him sprinting. He's sprinting to the other end. He knows his star baby's been born for the Badgers. Listen to the crowd. The Grateful Red.
They're just 2-18 all-time against second-ranked teams. Haven't beaten a number 2 in 9 years, more than 9 years, but they're on their way here today, and that guy's one of the biggest reasons.
Hey, the last Big Ten Player of the Year out of Wisconsin, now playing for the Dallas Mavericks, where they're going to have a great chance to win it all this year. Devin Harris, 2004.
Orlando Tucker chasing Michael Finley, perhaps, for the all-time scoring lead with Wisconsin. It'll be on Kravenhoff to the Badgers.
Now, you don't want to stop the clock like that. He can't be happy. It's okay to be aggressive, but you got to pick your situations, Dan.
Yep. Well, the fouls have been piling up. It's been that kind of a game.
Well, we're going to get ready for the Garden on Thursday. I can't wait. You're going to see an offensive show coming up next. Got Texas Tech and Arkansas. My guy Brad Nessler will be making that call.
Derek Rivio's having a sensational season for the Zags right now.
He made 7 threes against Texas. 9 is the record held by Dick Al. And then you talk about Josh Heifeld, a guy under the radar, really having a phenomenal year. The big guy. And Mark Few, I've said it so many times. I mean, the guy does a phenomenal job with the Zags. But Duke's defense is outstanding.
Matt Bolden moving into the starting lineup. Mark Few's got the best winning percentage of any active coach, and these two guys are 3rd and 4th.
Yeah. I can't wait because I'm going to Radio City. I got all my grandchildren. Going to see the Christmas show. I saw the Christmas. If you get a chance, go to Disney World. Go to Orlando and see the Christmas show. Saw it yesterday. It is phenomenal up there. Phenomenal.
Orlando Tucker's 30th point of the game.
See, I try to tell all you guys, but none of you listen, you young guys, you young thoroughbreds, Andy Katz, you guys don't listen. You gotta have balance in your life. Balance in your life. It can't be all one way. My life's not 24/7 hoops. You know.
I know.
You gotta have a little balance in your life.
I've seen you outside of hoops. I know. I know where you're having breakfast tomorrow. Another rebound for Tucker as we go into the final minute here in Madison, and Tucker's going back to the line.
And he goes to that line. His mother, his brother, they all stand and cheer. All the faithful stand and cheer. She's waving to the crowd. She knows that's my guy, my son.
Well, if this was a guy who was under-publicized before today, this kind of a performance against this good of a team is going to put him on the map.
Well, we should have last week against Marquette. Billy Raftery and certainly Jay Billis sang his praises.
32.
He's had a big-time performance, a big week. He says, bring out all those star teams. I want to take them all on.
Another rebound for Tucker.
He's been the man. He's been the man.
That's a double-double for him, Dick. That's his 10th rebound.
He's my first choice. I'm telling you right now, if I had a vote, somebody's got to show me, and he's got to continue it. But this kid's got to be right there when you talk National Player of the Year. He's so valuable. I look at the value to the team. His value to this team is incredible.
Timeout, Wisconsin. Bo Ryan wants to bring his starters off the floor. He's got 5 guys ready to check in. As we bring you to our Infinity Inside the Plane, Dickie V, it's been the Orlando Tucker Show today.
Orlando Tucker's been the man. There he is with the elevation and the jam. Makes a little bit like Michael Finley right there. And he shows his driving ability, a little floater off the glass, and the post-up ability. Step back, shoot the trifecta. He's been a man.
And we can't forget that Brian Butch was also a huge contributor here today. Tucker with 32 and 10. Butch with 27 and 11 as Bo Ryan empties his bench for the last 20 seconds of the game.
All the kids that practice so hard get a chance to get on the TV screen, hear the beautiful voice of Dan Schulman make some calls.
Tanner Bronson is into the game now. Morris Kane has come into the game. That's Kane.
Well, he wanted 5 points for that shot.
Shot clock violation. He gives it back to the Panthers. Trayvon Hughes has returned. Kevin Gullickson, who was a former walk-on, now on scholarship, is in, and Mickey Perry as well. But the story is Tucker. The story is Butch. The story is Wisconsin.
And it's
knocking off Pittsburgh.
And the story, Bo Ryan. Now 81-5. And the first loss for Jamie Dixon in 4 years in November and December.
Our final here with the Kohl Center, Wisconsin 89, Pittsburgh 75. For Nick Vitale, Doris Burke, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Schulman. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now let's go to Little Rock. Brad Nessler, Jimmy Dykes, and Steve Lavin.